Hello and welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast, your go-to place for everything Rocket League with your hosts, K-Cube, AJ Binky, and Red. So lean forward, lock in, and get ready to go Boost Over Ball.
Your audio. That's fun. Oh, say something?
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. I think it brought it in now.
Oh. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you now. Everything, we are working again, so that is at least good.
Is that what I sound like?
Holy cow. Okay, we finally did it.
We did it. Woo!
We're professionals here. Hello everyone and welcome to our first stream here. First video podcast. We're going to be posting these still as we normally would. Just the very same. It's just going to be a little bit different because we'll be live to you in the beginning, and we'll post all the VOD to YouTube, and we're still going to post everything in audio form as well. So if you are still an audio listener, then still be an audio listener. There's nothing wrong with that. But I figured extra content we may as well.
Gotta keep the off season lively,
Oh, 100%. But we should be ready to go. So are you ready to get this started?
Yeah, let's do this.
Heck yeah. So to listeners new and old, hello and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Kyle, K-Cube, here in the flesh. And to my right, up on the screen here, we have Red. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How about yourself, man?
Going good. I'm not sure why you are still echoing. But we're fine. We will get better as we go here.
Okay.
But in today's episode, we'll be wrapping up the World Championships. We'll be recapping our predictions and how those fared. We will also be talking about our experiences at Dickies Arena, like going back to Dickies Arena, and then we will talk some Reds roster rumors before finishing off with overtime with chat questions if we have any. So let's jump right into Dickies Arena Electric Boogaloo, and we'll go down the Swiss stage. So for people who this is your first time seeing the show or this is your first time listening, we'll go down and talk about the results, how everybody finished, and then we'll kind of go into depth from there. So, Red, you want to run us down what teams finished where?
Absolutely. So, with our teams going 3-0 in the Swiss stage, we had my very own team, G2 Stride, going 3-0. And then, of course, Team Falcons going 3-0 as well. And then our 3, 4, and 5 seed teams going 3-1. We have Furia, Carmine Corps, and Team BDS. And finally, the teams rounding out the top 8, we have Gentlemates Alpine, Oxford Esports, Gaming. Those 3 teams just missing the cut at 2 and 3 are your former world champions, at the time defending world champions, Team Vitality, and the 2 Oceania teams, Power and Quick Trip Pioneers Gaming. Rounding out our 12th through 14 is Gen G, OG, and Team Secret. And finally, our teams that went 0 and 3 are Limitless and Game Gladiator.
So, what were some surprises that you thought based on the Swiss result?
I think the most noticeable one right away is Gen G as well, with a 12th place finish. Gen G not even making it to round 5, not even making it top 8, when I think majority of the people had Gen G in top 8, if not top 4.
I mean, we power ranked them at 8.
Yeah,
beforehand. So we got Limitless and Gladiators a little bit switched around, but Limitless were able to take a game off of Pioneers. Got it there. Yeah. We did not get Pioneers or Power right. Secret, OG. So, we did all right in our power rankings, but We definitely did better in our predictions. I'll spoil. A little bit of a
Yeah.
teaser there.
Yeah. But yeah, biggest surprise is obviously the Gen G versus Oceania, where Oceania came out on top and a very good fashion too. I mean, Gen G looked the worst I think we've ever seen them.
We certainly
Um,
did. I mean, I
that's
can't.
not to take away from Power and Pioneers game. Pioneers playing well. I mean, they played fantastic. The Oceania teams looked like they were playing some of the best Rocket League I've seen them play in a long time. They looked back in form. It seems like they were trying to send a message that we aren't just a minor region as well. We also are getting in contention for those major region discussions as well, along with Sam and Mina.
Yeah, they're not cannon fodder anymore, and that's a good transition into, like, in my opinion, the biggest winners and losers from Swiss. So the first biggest winner, and this one seems obvious to me, but it's OCE, the region as a whole, right? Power finished 2-3. They're able to take down Gen G. They beat Team Secret. They took a game off G2, and they looked pretty good in the process. So they get swept by Gentle Mates in round 5, but almost a Swiss top 8 appearance for them. And then you got Pioneers. They eliminated Gen G. They also finished 2-3. They were able to beat Limitless, but they took Secret to a game 5. Like, they very easily could have been, getting closer and closer to that top 8. Getting swept by SSG. But they looked fantastic. It's another step in the road for OCE as they continue to look for their first top 8. But I think it's closer than a lot of people might think.
I would completely agree. I mean, there was genuine hope, and it was no longer just pure Oceania copium for them making a top 8. I mean, this is the best chance that they've had, and although both of the Oceania teams did lose 0-3 in their round 5 matches, I mean, there was definitely a better chance of them making it. I think a lot of the actual crowd wanted them to make a top 8, even against other NA teams.
I think so too.
Pioneers versus Space Station, I believe, was the most conflicted that crowd's been in a while.
For sure. I mean, and we were lucky enough to be in the building on the floor when Fiber fell after the Gen G series, and he handled it like a champ. The crowd, was able to rally behind him. He jumps up and hits him with the double fist pumps. We have some cool pictures of that we posted on social media, but I think that's the most active I've ever seen a crowd for OCE against an NA team, especially. I mean, it bode well for the people that are the Gen G haters out there. But I think they looked good. We can't say enough good things about OCE right now. But that takes us into the second winner, in my opinion, and that's Oxygen. Oxygen make a top 8. I don't think a lot of people expected them to make top 8, with 3 weeks to prepare for Worlds. I don't think they expected them to do very much. So making a top 8 is awesome. They're able to take down Vitality. They eliminated Vitality and ended their World Championship defense. And I think they looked good. And then last but certainly not least, I got Furia. Now, neither of the two of us predicted them to make it into the top 8, which, we'll talk about our predictions in a little bit. But they take down the blue wall in 4 games. They dispatch SSG very quickly. They looked very good. They looked very dominant. And, they occupy that 3rd spot for me. So how'd I do? What'd I miss? What do you think?
Everything seems great. Definitely Oxygen was a bit of a wake-up call, I think, for EU. They eliminated the at the time defending world champ Vitality. They also knocked out Gentle Mates in Championship Sunday. I mean, they were on an EU warpath. They're like, we almost didn't make it here, but now that we're here, we're gonna cause as much chaos as we can. And well, they proved that they deserve to be there. I don't think anyone has any doubts in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of secretly hoping that we'd see like Redo's Magic Cheese make a Worlds appearance just because of visa issues, but like seeing the way that Oxygen performed, I love Redo's Magic Cheese. I think they're a good team. They played well in the summer series while that was still like a thing, but I don't know, man. I don't think that they do what Oxygen does if they get in.
no doubts there. I think they would have not has done as well. I mean, especially Joyo. Joyo played some of the best Rocket League I have ever seen from a single. I mean, the dude was a menace out there. He was making the craziest saves we've seen on the world stage. He was consistent as can be. I mean, they looked fantastic. I was truly impressed.
Yeah, and then that kind of takes us into our biggest losers. First and foremost for me, that's Gen G. They never really looked good. They lost to both OCE teams, and that kind of spelled the end of their run. Their only series win coming against Limitless, and that's a series that Limitless actually led for some of the games in that series. I mean,
it's just
I mean, we'll talk more about Gen G in the roster rumors part. Maybe a little bit of a spoiler for people who don't know, but there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen here. So, secondly, in the biggest loser column from Swiss, I unfortunately have OG. Their only series win was a sweep of Gladiators. They didn't put up much of a fight against anybody else, and they again crashed out 1-3. Seems to be their MO, right? They did just enough to get themselves into Worlds, and then didn't really do much else at any of the majors that they went to or at Worlds. So, they kind of just were there.
Yeah, I mean, OG, although biggest loser, am I surprised at the result? Not really. Also, sucks for Calm, who I don't know if he has fully committed to it, but he did say he was going to shave his head if they won 3 again. So looking forward to seeing those pictures if they ever get released. But yeah, I mean, biggest loser definitely, but am I surprised by it? Fortunately, no. This was kind of the result I was expecting.
We power ranked him out of the top 8 too. So like we knew it, but like it's still biggest loser for me because like I hate to see JKnaps not making top 8s because he still has the talent and the ability to do it. It just it seems like Noli was valleying like the way that we've talked about in the past.
Yes, I agree.
And then last but certainly not least, I got Vitality. They were not able to amount their title defense to very much. They lost in Game 5 to SSG and Gentlemates, and Oxygen beats them in 4. And, they did not look very good. They lost 2 straight on Thursday, and then, on Friday, Oxygen take them out in pretty convincing fashion. They did not look very good. I think there's, people have talked about it, and we'll talk about it more maybe in the roster rumor section, even though there's nothing confirmed yet, but something's got to change for them.
I agree. I mean, they did not look good at all. I mean, they had a decent start, right? Taking a 3-1 over Team Secret, and then a close Game 5 against Gentlemates, and then, again, another close Game 5 to SSG where they lost an OT. So maybe it was just a mental thing, right? Getting back-to-back tough beats kind of sets you up for failure towards the rest of Swiss. But, I mean, definitely looked out of sorts, especially when it counted round 5 matchup. But at the same time, they did play a Oxygen team, which is playing the best Rocket League we've seen the Oxygen team in a while. I mean, checking the results of the Oxygen series, they were held to 2 goals over a 4-game series. And their only win being a 1-0 win. So I would tend to agree. I'm going to agree here that a change is needing to be made. What exactly? I have my guesses, but to who that spot would be filled by, I'm not sure. Yeah. I think this offseason is going to be very interesting.
I would agree. So I am intrigued to see what happens. We'll touch on that more and speculate wildly as we do in the Reds roster rumor section. But now I'll pick mine in my personal opinion. My favorite series of Swiss, and I think that there's kind of like 2 ways that you can go with this. I think there's best series in terms of gameplay wise or how close it was or how back and forth it was, and then I think that there's maybe the most hype series, the most either a really big upset or the crowd got really into it or it was just fun to be able to witness it. And I'm going to go for the hype series in this one, and that's Gen G versus Pioneers. It was a great showing for OCE, a huge, massive win for Pioneers, maybe potentially the biggest win on land for them in their history of RLCS. And, especially makes it even sweeter for the Gen G haters, kind of like myself. I'm not a big Gen G fan. I think they've kind of been trending downward as the season progressed. So I thought it was cool to see, even as an NA fan. It's awesome to see more parity, more regions getting involved, and the crowd certainly got really into that one as the game ended. It was maybe less like full on cheering for OCE, but more like, oh my god, are they gonna do this? Is Gen G really about to lose to Pioneers, to the OCE number 2 seed? Like, what is going on here? But it was a fantastic series to watch, and for the people that were there on Friday, for the crowd, they were into it.
Yeah, I think my hype series I gotta go with. I have to, being a bit of a defensive connoisseur when it comes to Rocket League, I gotta pick Oxygen over Vitality. I mean, that was some of the best defending I've seen out of a team in a long time. Joyo was, there's the incredible no boost save he made on Zen, where I still to this day have no idea how he gets that touch and his card doesn't get launched backwards at all. Rocket League physics, you need a PhD to understand them. But I just from the crowd, it was, the crowd was behind Oxygen the entire way. Vitality tried to pull the play of coming out with the cowboy hats, the American flags, trying to do a rerun of Boston, get the crowd on their side, and let's just say it did not work. There was a roar for the Oxygen team, and the entire way that just carried them. Every goal, the entire stadium was shaking. It was a fantastic series to watch and a great way to end up the Swiss.
Yeah, to kind of build off of that, Archie had 7 saves, Joyo had 6 saves, Oski had 4 saves, Radosin had 10, Zen had 7, Alpha had 9. It's just a tremendous defensive display from both teams, right? So it's 26 saves from Vitality and 17 for Oxygen. But the big difference is Vitality had 2 goals on 25 shots, and Oxygen had 8 goals on 34 shots. So really, the shooting percentage is much higher for Oxygen, and you got to chalk that up to Joyo and Archie and Oski doing Joyo and Oski things, and truly, like you said, some of those 0 boost saves were some of the best that I've ever seen. Like how you don't panic. How you're like, no, it's fine, I got it. I'll just, jump off the sidewall, or I'll just squishy save this. It's fine. It's just Zen air dribbling, and I got no boost, but it's fine. It truly, truly incredible, incredible defensive display from both teams there. So I think that's a fantastic choice.
All right. With that being said, though, we're not quite done with the Swiss stage. For those of you that were watching the RLCS World Championship, they added a new format this season. We had some Swiss tiebreakers to determine seeding for the playoff bracket. And these tiebreaker matches, oh my, Europe came to play. And Unfortunately, the team that was on the other receiving end was AJ Binky's favorite team, Furia. Start off the Swiss tiebreakers, we had Furia versus Karmine Corps, bit of a Swiss stage rematch, and let's just say Karmine Corps figured it out. And they figured it out in dominant fashion.
Yeah. Not close.
Karmine Corps taking a 3-1 victory, and I'm watching that series. It looked like old Furia. It did not look like the current trending Furia of, we're 3-0ing Swiss. It looked like last season Furia, where they were just, the lights got a little too bright, and it punished them hard for it.
It certainly did. But and then still, it kind of seems a little bit of a, maybe a flaw of the format. It didn't end up mattering, right? But in the beginning, it certainly did, right? So Furia loses the 3rd place Swiss tiebreaker to play Falcons, right? So Karmine Corps moves into an upper quarterfinals matchup against Falcons on this, and Furia then plays again immediately following, right? I think they did 10 minutes, 15 minutes in between matches.
It was like a 15 break, yeah.
and they now play BDS for the right to play G2 in upper quarterfinals. Right? The loser goes to lowers. They have no second life. They just, it is what it is. It's win or go home. And I mean, whether you'd like to admit it or not, even though they lose 3-1, they still take a game. They're still playing Karmine Corp. It's still, top tier Rocket League. They're warm. Even if they say that they're not, they're still warm, right? They just played a series. This is BDS's first match of the day. I mean, they all scrim and they all warm up and stuff like that. But it's not the same thing as being on the stage. And so Furia come out and they win the first two, and you're thinking, okay, well, they're going to have to, this is going to be a fight. I don't think BDS are going to give it up super easy. And sure enough, BDS complete the reverse sweep in a best of 5, so they won 3 straight after dropping the first 2, and they looked incredible in that reverse sweep. I think this is one where Furia really could have benefited from a timeout, just like a mental reset or something. I personally think this should change, but there's no timeouts in a best of 5. But this is kind of a playoff match, even if you're not really gonna say it is. I feel like it's an important enough series where a timeout would be warranted. What do you think?
I could agree, but at the same time, I think we can't pick and choose because they had this reverse sweep happen to them, it feels like it'd be better for that timeout. Obviously, the Fury would have benefited extremely, but at the same time, when have we ever had a BO5 have a timeout? I don't think it's ever been a case, and so
I don't think so either.
I feel like at the same time that's on the coach potentially. They need to be able to figure out how to mentally reset the team that minute you have in between games. A minute may not seem like a long time, but as a coach for a college team, a minute you can say a lot in a minute.
I mean, it's a fifth of the game.
Yeah. So I think that definitely something that Furia needs to kind of look at back at the drawing board, because if they would have won that game, it could have been different, right?
Everything would have been different.
Who knows how the upper quarterfinals would have gone? But Furia getting reverse swept by BDS. It's a tough look, and they end up getting put down into the lower bracket playoff, which BDS, not to take away from that, BDS looked terrifying. As soon as it's like they took a second to get settled in. Game 1, game 2, obviously a little cold, right? Still trying to get warmed up. As soon as they were warmed up, it was playoff monkey move. I mean,
they flipped the switch.
They flipped the switch.
Teams.
And as a G2 fan, I saw it. It was like, oh, this is the BDS team I remember. And
this is the one I have nightmares about.
Yeah, this is the one that still haunts my dreams. And BDS, as many people saw, they carried that the rest of the day. That being said, though, playoffs, a lot of games happened, a lot of crazy series happened. I think the first one we're going to talk about, is this Furia match. Furia just coming off getting reverse swept by BDS. Almost get reverse swept again. And this time, they're timeouts. I don't know. I'm not really sure how Furia was even able to recover from, because get that threat of getting Game 7 reverse swept again that's a mental toll that I would not be ready for. But Furia ends up facing Space Station lower bracket round 1. Furia winning the first 3 games, all very close games. And then Space Station, even after losing their game right after their timeout, come out firing 2-0, 1-0, 1-0, and then they just are 1 goal short. Game 7 Champions Field, Furia advances the next team in lower bracket quarterfinals, which what were your thoughts on that?
I mean, it kind of seemed like, at least for Space Station, right, the only positive is it's not G2 or Gen G.
Fair.
They lost to somebody else, so for them, I'm sure that's got to be at least maybe a little bit of a consolation prize. But you got to think, this is Furia's 3rd game of the day at this point, and this is Space Station's first.
Yeah, that was an interesting.
So this format, like, I mean, if Furia was gonna lose, that's like an all time worst day ever, in my opinion, at
Yeah,
least.
I mean, yeah, losing your first two series and having to do a reverse sweep, or like having to avoid another reverse sweep, like I would be so drained. I would not want to touch this game ever again for like a week.
Yeah, I mean, so I thought that Furia played well. I thought that they, they utilized their timeout and they're able to regain, and they, ultimately get a Game 7 win on Champions Field. But man, that, like, talk about barely avoiding a catastrophic day to survive into the lower bracket quarterfinals. But nevertheless, Furia make it through, and then, in my opinion, one of the more surprising series, Oxygen take down Gentle Mates in lower bracket round 1, 4-2. Like an overtime game for game 5, and then they take it handily in game 6. Oxygen looked good. Gentle Mates did not, which is very weird to say on LAN because they're the LAN boys. And they, kind of, something looked a little bit off with Gentle Mates this whole tournament. So I'm not sure if it's, the travel, the time change, the fact that they, were trying something at Esports World Cup and it didn't happen for them or it didn't work for them. But, it's a fantastic win for Oxygen and propels them into lower quarters.
Absolutely. I mean, Oxygen continue their form from Swiss State, like the best EU team out there. And I mean, it was impressive. I mean, to be a team that wasn't going to get invited in the first place, and then you take that last second invite and make it not only top 8 but top 6. I mean, huge scenes from Oxygen. I mean, I although the NA side of me wish it was Red Hell's Magic Cheese, I just don't think we would have got the same results that we saw. And hats off to Oxygen performing as well as they did.
For sure. So now let's do. I'll run through upper bracket quarterfinals, and we'll do the series score, and then we'll talk about them at the end. So we have G2 losing to BDS 4-3, and we have Karmine Corps taking down Falcons 4-1. So let's do the Karmine first. Falcons took game 3. Every game but game 1 was an overtime game. 3 minutes, a minute of overtime. So, close series, but Karmine Corps, they got that dog in them and they were able to fight them off. I thought that they were the better team and that's why they won. But it certainly seemed to be a little bit scary that they were starting to put it together as we move towards the end of the tournament. But a good win for them drops Falcons to lowers with it, and they have a date with Oxygen in the lower quarters. But in the other upper quarterfinal, we have G2 BDS. BDS take the first 2, G2 take the next 3, BDS take the final 2. All of them 1-goal games, 3 overtime games, an incredibly close series. BDS looked fantastic. G2 at times looked fantastic. I'll let you talk a little bit here.
I'm so tired of facing BDS, man. I'm so tired of it. Every time. No, I'm fine. This series, I mean, it was a fantastic series. I just couldn't finish the, or not even the reverse sweep, but couldn't finish the job. We even win the game after timeout, and just Prime Monkey Moon, man. That dude's gonna haunt me forever. BDS, I mean, they look fantastic, and obviously that form continues later on in the playoffs. But it was a close game. I think this at the time this was probably the best series of the day so far. That is until
we get to lowers.
Until we get to lowers.
So we'll start out with Oxygen Falcons. Falcons dispatch Oxygen 4-2. Oxygen take game 1, Falcons game 2, Oxygen game 3, and then Falcons take 4, 5, 6 to round it out. And back to what people expected of Falcons. High flying offense, good defense, great team, and they make yet another top 4 appearance. And I'll let you handle the G2 Furia series in our second lower quarterfinal.
So this series set a record for the longest series at Worlds. Reason being, there was effectively 3 extra games played in this best of 7 series. So it was technically a 10-game series. Reason I'm saying that is 3 games.
16 and a half minutes of overtime.
Yeah, there was 16.5 minutes OT. 3 of those games were 5.5-minute OTs. Oh my god. This series had Dickies Arena on edge. I mean, the crowd was the loudest it's ever been. Everyone was nervous, excited. I mean, this was this was peak cinema. Results: Furia takes game 1 and a 5-minute 20-second OT 2-1. G2 brings it right back and takes game 2 2-1 and a 5-minute 50-second OT. Then they take game 3 2-1. Furia taking game 4 4-3. That's when they also take game 5 1-0. All these 1-goal games so far. G2 takes a timeout. G2 wins game 6 2-1 with a 5-minute 25-second OT. And finally, game 7, G2 takes it in only 4 seconds this time, thankfully. Take it 1-0 to advance to the semis. I mean, this series had pretty much everything you could have asked for in it. I think this was the series of the day, in my opinion. Just because of the craziness that was happening in it. And the only thing that I still have questions about is, if you're Furia, why are we not taking a timeout after game? That's something I still question to this day. I mean, even as a G2 fan,
Sam does not take many timeouts. This is something that they don't tend to do. I mean, I figure as a player, you're right. It's a 1-goal game. It's a 5.5-minute overtime. Could have gone in either way. You say that after game 2, and then game 3. Okay, it's a 1-goal game. Could have gone either way. We don't need it right now, and they win 2. But after game 6, why are you not taking it?
Yeah, I mean, game 6, especially at that point, you've already played 3 extra games with OT. Take it for at least a breather.
Yeah, get some non-branded water.
Yeah, get some non-branded water. You stretch the fingers a little bit. I mean, geez, I would have been asking for that timeout, because that's, I mean, it ended up working for them. I mean, game 7 was a nail biter, 0-0 the entire time of regulation. So maybe it was working for them, but I just feel like Furia should have taken that timeout, reset the momentum, take that breath you needed, talk things through, and go into 7. But that's why they don't pay me to be a coach for a pro team.
Yeah, but maybe that's also why they don't make a top 4.
These are the questions.
Yeah. But moving on into our semifinals, and of the final day, I think that the semifinals matches plural were probably the most exciting matches of the day. So we'll start out with BDS Falcons. We have BDS taking the first 3 games, and you're thinking, this looks like World Championship BDS. This could be bad. Our Falcons being unclutch again, and then Falcons storm back with 3 straight, and you're thinking, oh my god, are they going to reverse sweep? Are we going to see Falcons in grand finals again? But BDS are able to regain, and they take game 7 2-1, and they're able to set themselves up in a grand finals showdown. And again, they looked fantastic, but all but 3 of the games are 1-goal games. It's a very close series, and both teams looked fantastic, but ultimately it was just BDS's day. We'll talk about that more here in a little bit. But you want to take us away with the G2 Karmine Corps series?
Absolutely. And yet another nail biter of a series. This semifinals matchup, I don't know what was in the script. I don't know what they were cooking, but they cooked, because these fake reverse sweeps are making me lose my mind when I watch these games. Karmine Corps G2. The G2 comes out hot, and I mean hot. Game 1, 3-1. Game 2, OT, 2-1 G2. Karmine Corp take a timeout. Farah breaks up the whiteboard. Doesn't actually break out the whiteboard. Breaks
The
up the
mental
mental
whiteboard.
whiteboard.
He had
the
it in
mental
his
whiteboard.
mind.
And then G2 come out with a 6-1 stomp. And, you're thinking, oh, this is over. G2 is in world form. It's going to be a sweep. Nah. G2 get a little lackadaisical. They start showboating a little bit. They're like, oh, we got this in the bag. It's all right. Karmine Corp wins game 4, 2-0. Karmine Corp wins game 5, 3-0. Karmine Corp wins game 6, 1-0.
And all of a sudden,
They
G2
shut
haven't scored in
G2
15
out.
minutes.
For 15 minutes. But finally, G2 locks it back in. They take a breather. They win 3-1. I mean, a fantastic series. As a G2 fan, the heart was, we're pretty much in like cardiac arrest at this point. Like, I needed water. I needed a walk. It's been a long day, and it's only going to get longer. But I mean, these semifinals matchups, unfortunately, the better matchups for the day as we roll into a 2022 Worlds rematch.
I will
beats.
say though, that Game 7 win from G2 probably gave me the best picture I've ever taken as a photographer of Beast Mode running his hands through his hair with the fireworks going off in the background. We'll post that on social media, I'm sure, in the next coming days. But an absolute moment of euphoria from Sathu, from Beast Mode, from the boys, heading into, like you said, a 2022 Grand Finals rematch. That's the reason I called this segment Dickey's Arena Electric Boogaloo, because it's different, but it just seems like quite the same thing.
And unfortunately, the only difference in it from it being the same thing was one game.
Yeah.
BDS come out.
Hold on, wait. One game and a ghost touch.
One game and a ghost touch.
But we'll talk about the ghost touch at the end, and this probably could be its own segment, even its own show. But
yeah,
we'll talk about it.
We could rant about this for a while. But World Championship, Grand Finals, crowds going crazy. G2 comes out hot with a 5-0 victory, game 1. So, looking good for the NA hopefuls. BDS bring it right back with an OT win, game 2, 1-0. G2 wins game 3, 3-1. BDS takes a timeout, and this is where it goes downhill. And by downhill, I mean we are falling off a cliff at Mach speed. Game 4, BDS take it 4-1. Game 5, BDS take it 5-2. Timeout G2. We're bringing it back. Game 7, 2-2. Looking to go to OT. In the worst ghost flip. Ghost touch, ghost flip. The worst ghost touch I've ever seen in my life to poor Atomic. This ball moved a unreal unit amount in replay afterwards, just like to verify how big of a ghost touch this was. It moved a crazy amount, and it kicks out mid to a wide open. I believe it was it Brawley or was it Mako?
Drawley.
Yeah, a wide open Drawley. I mean, a Plat 2 could have rolled the ball into that, and yeah,
that's the difference.
Tough. That's the difference.
So, also for people who are unaware, at a LAN, you play a LAN match, right? Like in Rocket League, it has its own like category. It's not a private match; it's a LAN match. So theoretically speaking, everyone should have 0 ping because you're all playing on the same client and the same instance, right? There should be no ping because all the computers are connected. They don't need the internet to do that, right? There should be very little lag. There should be no ghost touches. There should be no like phantom demos, anything like that. But Atomic flips. You see sparks in the slowdown replay. You zoom in, the ball is inside of his car. You continue on with the video or with the replay, and the trail changes. The trail changes from blue to orange, signifying that the game registered that he touched it, but he didn't touch it. And it careens out middle for probably the easiest goal of the tournament for Drawley, and ultimately a world championship winning goal and kind of mistake. I mean, like, he could have had a better touch on it, but also like the game did him negative favors.
Yeah, I mean, if you go, I'm sure most people that listen have seen the clip. You can physically see the ball shift, probably like on screen a good like 6-8 inches. I mean, the ball just going straight down, kicks out 8 inches, and then keeps going. I mean, it's a tough way to lose. I'm hoping Atomic is able to bounce back and get back into form for next. I don't see this G2 roster making any changes, but it's a tough way to lose. G2 continue their history making themselves, are now the only team ever make a grand world championship grand final 3 times without ever winning. So hopefully next season's not 4.
Maybe fourth time's the charm.
Hopefully. But it's a tough way to go, but at the same time, congrats to BDS. I mean, Monkey Moon, he's
The open era GOAT.
He is the open era GOAT. I mean,
He did it with 2 different rosters too.
We're probably gonna start nearing those the LeBron MJ conversations, right? For him and Turbo and Violet Panda. I mean, like there is some GOAT statuses that need to be handed out to Monkey Moon because he's got the right stuff. I mean, he is NA's kryptonite, and he continues to show.
He certainly does. But away from some of the depressing stuff into some, more positive stuff, at least for us, especially, and our ball knowledge, we're going to talk about our predictions here. So, Red, you got 6 of the top 8. You incorrectly got Vitality and Gen G. You missed Oxygen and Furia. 75% is not bad. Not at all.
I'll take it.
Especially when you consider then you got all of the top 4 right. We switched up the matchups just because of like the way everybody's bracket dropped out. So like you got the grand finals right, but you had BDS taking down Falcons in 7. No, you had the top 4 exactly right, and you got the grand finals matchup right. Unfortunately, you did not get the winner. Spoiler: I didn't get the winner right either. I
did, however, I got G2 beating Carmine in 7.
Yep.
I had BDS beating Falcons in 6, so I was 1 game off there. But I was cooking. I knew my stuff for top 4 at least.
Yeah, no. And similarly, I missed one of the top 8. I took Vitality instead of Furia. I also got the top 4 right, and I got the grand finals matchup right, but I did not predict the winner. I did my peak was I predicted Oxygen over Vitality to knock them out, and I was very pleased with that one after getting some flack on Twitter for that one. But I think for the most part we did really, really well with our predictions.
I think we can start to say that we do know, in fact, know ball.
We do indeed. And also, like, we announced before the tournament that we were going to do a fantasy league, and the top 3 would get a prize. I got first, AJ got third, and Sasuke got second. So like it's the group, like we know our ball sometimes. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. That's what I'm going with. But for the most part, again, I think that we, like, for the whole season, I think that we did a lot better than I would have anticipated at the beginning of the year. But maybe that's what happens when you just pay attention to everything, or you have to talk about it every week. Is you learn what's going on and figure it out. But hey, I think we did a fantastic job at Worlds, but on the season as a whole, definitely a passing grade.
Absolutely. I think you yap about something long enough, you eventually start to figure a couple.
Yeah. So. With that, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on about like the matches at Worlds before we start to talk about like our experience and what we thought?
No, I think we've kind of covered as much as we needed.
Fair. I would tend to agree. So I guess the first question that I have is, first and foremost, what do you like? What were your first thoughts on now that we've been back for little over a week? What are your thoughts on the event as a whole?
I think it was amazing. I mean, it was some of the best. It was one of the best events I've been to. ran very well from Blast. Fantastic job setting things up. I liked the tournament structure. Obviously, the tiebreakers were hit or miss on thoughts on that, but I still believe we should bring back wildcard.
And they did
get
announce
to
that they're bringing it back.
We'll get to more on that.
Yep.
But I think it was a fantastic event. The one gripe I did have wasn't a lot of jerseys there. That is one thing a lot of a lot of fans like to get is jerseys, but they did ball out with the merch on just the regular Worlds merch. Myself a pin, got myself this nice sweatshirt that I'm wearing right now. They had a good quality selection and it wasn't extremely overpriced. Your standard event pricing, say. But I think it was a fantastic event. I mean, the stage looked fantastic. The way the graphics they used, the intros and outros. I mean, it was very well put together. Blast did not skip a.
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree with you. I mean, like, in my opinion, because we were at the last Worlds, right, in Dickies, and we were at this one, and the only difference between the two of them is Blast. So I think that the production quality and the production value was way up. I thought the addition of the coin this season was fantastic. I love that, the coin continues to almost beat T-Bates in his predictions, especially after the Bates never wrong, but apparently Bates is only a little bit less wrong than the coin. But or a little bit less wrong than the coin. But they did a good job. They've been very upfront. They already announced RLCS 2025. They announced CRL, so two huge announcements that we'll be talking about in the coming weeks for Rocket League and for the state of things. I thought that the format was a nice change of pace. They did announce a hybrid wild card for RLCS 25, and I think that was certainly well received for people because they lost out on the wild card this year, but we've talked about it in the past, and potential, and we were kind of hoping with our fingers crossed that the reason for the no wild card, the reason that they're going back to some of the same events or the same venues that they've been to before is because first time for Blast they took over beginning of January, and then RLCS started 2 weeks later. They didn't have a ton of time to prepare for everything. So I think that a lot of the details and some of the issues that they had in the past will be ironed out. So, it certainly seems to be that way with all the transparency that we've now gotten now that the season is over, with already announcing, pretty much the next season. And, I think that they, like you said, I think the stage was fantastic. I think that the production value was really high. I think they did a good job. But lastly, touching on the merch stuff, we had heard, through the grapevine, through some people that we know, that they wanted to upcharge a lot to sell the jerseys, and and they only had a very, very limited amount. I think they said, I think I heard that they had 300 SSG and 300 Team Falcons jerseys that they were selling at the event. I was lucky enough to get an SSG one. But, once they were gone, they were gone. They did not restock. There were not more of them. I was kind of a little bit surprised that there weren't more booths like there were at the last time in 2022 when we were there. There weren't any team stores selling merch. So, hopefully that's something that Blast and, all of the RLCS stuff can rectify for the next time. Because, I would have loved to rep some G2 swag, but I don't have any, I don't own any right now. I would have loved to rep some Oxygen stuff, but, that wasn't a possibility. So, live and learn, and hopefully next time there's more options for us. But I'm going to have to talk about this a little bit. AJ was supposed to be here, but something came up for him, so he couldn't join us. But being at an RLCS event on a closed audience day was something unlike anything I've ever experienced. It was taking place in a hexagonal room that they curtained off. They had 4 3 PC setups in each, kind of in the corners of the room with 2 casting booths.
Your might cut out.
Am I back?
Oh, he's frozen. Oh, L died. Oh, he's back. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, we dropped a couple of frames there. So hopefully, yeah, we're still dropping frames, but at least like the voice is back. The control room is still up for Video Ninja, and we will. We're coming back here, so everything should be.
Looks like my video. On the
Yeah.
stream.
It should be interesting.
I have been yeeted.
Okay.
One moment while we
Yeah,
try
well, we're
to remedy this.
fixing some technical difficulties here. I just
remove from the equation.
no kidding. I don't know what happened. Well, we can keep talking while we try and sort out the technical difficulties on this one. But basically, we got to be within like 5 feet of some of the pros, of some of the players. We got some awesome pictures that we're super excited to share with you. I'm just so excited to be able to like say that I was there, right? Like I just think that's really cool that we were able to, to be there for that. I've said that a couple times now, like being there for it, but like, just kind of walking around the venue, just seeing how everything was like, kind of happening behind the scenes, how like the players and the coaches were just, kind of there chilling in the players lounge. Hey, you're back. Okay, we got it.
Let's go.
So it was a very cool experience. It was a little bit stressful with all the production people running around, trying to make sure everything went smoothly, trying to make sure that we weren't in the way or weren't in any of the camera angles or anything like that. And, it was truly a phenomenal experience. And I cannot say enough good things about it. And then the kind of the last question in this, like, based on like your experience, at least for me, after being at an RLCS LAN, especially Worlds, how's your motivation to like grind the game, to make content, to do that kind of stuff?
Oh man, I mean, I had an itch to play Rocket League like a week once I got home. I mean, it was ranked. I wanted to grind again, get back in the game, which ended up working out. I had 2 matches that week for the league I compete in and winning both of those. So glad I got that itch to play again. Now I'm kind of back in the like off season vibe of things, but sure I'll get the itch again and go back to playing. It just always tends to happen with these big events. You see all the pros doing all this cool stuff and competing, and you're like, oh man, I can do that. And then you realize that you are in fact not him.
They're pros for a reason, and I'm not. Yep. Yep. I mean, they're like, taking the elevator up, like down from like the media room to the players lounge. And then, I ended up like finding the person I was looking for. So we took the elevator back up, and it's like the elevator's like me, someone from Blast, Farah, Vatira, and Rise. I'm like, one of these is not supposed to be here. It feels out of place.
It's like, I feel like I should get off the next exit quickly.
Yeah, but also, before we jump into Red's roster rumors, I feel like we have to give a huge thank you. So first and foremost, thank you to Ryan and to Joe with Blast for accommodating us at the event, for showing us around, for escorting us, for working with us, and helping talk to some of the stage managers and stuff. Like, hey, no, they actually are allowed to be here. Like, they're staying out of the way. So, being able to get some of the access that we had that, we never would have in a million years expected to get. So huge thank you to Blast, to Ryan, to Joe, and to the entire team. Secondly, to the people that we met at the event, for coming to say hi, for coming to get stickers, for talking to us at some of the extracurricular events that we went to outside of just being at the stadium, for the people that we met, for, we got to take pictures at the Creator basketball game. AJ, got some awesome pictures of Arsenal and Asfura. Like, truly, thank you, because without you, coming up and talking to us and saying hi, allowing us to do that kind of stuff, we wouldn't be able to do half the stuff we do. Third, to the MLE people, to Sky Guy, Quilly, Snips, and Snipes, for working with us, helping us get content, doing the interviews with some of the players in French, because he speaks French, made it a lot easier for us not having to use a translator. To DJ TJ, to Hannah, the voice of the podcast, to, everybody who took the time to take pictures with us, to meet us. Thank you again for all that. And then lastly, a huge thank you to you guys, the listeners. Without you guys, none of this would be possible. We wouldn't be able to get the access that we do. We wouldn't be able to make the content that we do. We wouldn't get to, experience the events the way that we do. And, we can never say thank you enough for all you do. Very, very demure of all the fans to support us the way that they do. But
you did not just say very demure. Oh my gosh.
Well, Lauren said it in chat, and I had to. She said that you should try and work it in there. I mean, I kind of get it, but
Try to keep up with these kids.
Exactly. But it might just be that time. I did not think that was going to play right away when I opened that, but it now is everyone's favorite time of the episode. So I'm gonna let the song play, and we can get right into it. So everybody got to see us headbanging to that, but the funny part is I did that when we were recording and without video. So that's just what happens.
Perfect. I mean, it is the time. Reds roster rumors. We're back. We actually have some roster rumors. So excited. And
'tis the season.
Best time for roster rumors is 'tis the season, correct. Off season is the season for it. And boy, do we got some spicy ones for you already. Start off, the big one, I guess the first one even, I think, as well. Obviously, Gen G going 1-3 at Worlds. A change was going to be made. We all kind of saw it coming. The change that was made, though, what we weren't quite expecting. So it was announced that Jack and Chronic are allowed to explore other options this offseason. The Appjack one was interesting because he came out personally to kind of announce that. He also noted that this was his decision to leave. It wasn't the standard first killer get the boot. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Abject is interested in staying in NA, but also going back to EU. So I'm curious to see what team he's depending on. But with that being said, first killer has already figured out a duo, and that duo is none other than LJ. That one was surprising. I wasn't expecting LJ to leave SSG as quickly as he did, but that's going to be a lethal duo. At the same time, I feel bad for whoever has to be that third man, because you are going to be perma third man. I'm curious to see.
We talked about it a little bit, maybe a Hoxer.
Maybe. I mean, you got Hoxer, who's already got some chem with LJ, right? But I'm not sure. I'm curious to see who they come out with. At the same time, Appjack, he's a solid player, so I'm curious to see who he decides to team up with. Maybe he goes and fills that spot. Maybe he, decides to go back to EU and we start seeing a super team over there again. Chronic, I'm also not sure what home he's gonna find, but best of luck to both of them. Hopefully they find the places they want to be. Moving on though, going down south just a little bit. Complexity announced that they will be returning to NA next season. Complexity, having a decent season in Sam, not the best that they were hoping for, hoping to come back to NA and prove that those Sam teams can make that return to NA, can compete. I'm curious to see how they do, and if they do better or worse, only time will tell. Moving on, Evo has also been allowed to explore options ahead of next season by Dignitas. We kind of saw this coming as Evo is flirted with the bench on that squad multiple times. So I'm curious to see where he lands. He's a good player. He's a mechanical player. I'm not sure who he'll mesh with yet, so shall stay tuned for that as well. Moving on to Across the Pond. This one, although not that surprising, Oxygen part ways with their roster. This one, more so the fact that Oxygen
doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't really exist anymore, so you can't really have a roster. Will that team stay together? I mean, you got top 6 at Worlds, so I feel like there's chances for them to stick together. At the same time, those are going to be high dollar players. I could see them trying to snag a pretty good contract. Separate teams, only time will tell there. However, another EU hopeful, Jorius, who we saw compete in Oceania for Chiefs at the World Cup. Jorios, Nas, and Oli will teamed for the first flip and spin qualifier. So
as part of Paris Games Week in EU, so just in EU they competed in EU.
Yeah, so that could be a team we see trying to form at the start of next season. Only time will tell. I could see Jorius trying to make an attempt to get a big contract at that Chiefs, because obviously works really well for them. At the same time, there is a lot of merit to stay in EU and better that way. So again, only time will tell. Finally, just a note here for the offseason. Most orgs will most likely wait until November, December to sign new rosters since the season starts next year. That's just because on cost, why pay for a team
if they're not going to compete? So we'll get more signing news hopefully closer to that time. At the same time, Cloud9, the longtime RLCS sweethearts, did meet with a roster at Worlds, but are still exploring options. So I'm curious to see who they decide to pick up. Finally, Gen.G, we did announce that they were, basically starting anew with First Killer and LJ. They are setting to scale back their roster. A move a lot of orgs we're seeing do more often now to try to become a affordable organization in Rocket League, as most organizations nowadays do run at a net loss. So, curious to see more if there will be more contract restructuring in that regard to help afford these teams. At the same time, it'll be the players that maybe put their foot down at certain lines. Teams disband because of it. Yeah, so, it certainly seems like LJ and First Killer are they seem to be locked in as a duo, but it also kind of seems like they're not going to stick with Gen.G. So I'll be intrigued to see what happens. And again, like you said, it just makes sense for orgs to not sign a roster, unless you're BDS to keep your roster, right? Unless you're G2 not changing, why keep your roster when you could not pay them for 4 months?
I think the only orgs right now that realistically keep their roster and continue to pay them for that period of time, obviously G2, BDS, Karmine Corp, and Gentlemates. The reason I say them is they have such a huge following with their streaming base. Kaga and I think, right?
Did you see they officially opened the Karmine Corp stadium in France?
Oh, I did not see that. Okay, well, yeah, there you go.
Sold out instantly.
I think they're doing well over there. And then of course, Team Falcons, you're not going to see any changes most likely. But otherwise, it will be a busy off season, ladies and gentlemen. So be sure to tune in every week. Try to stay as up to date as possible with the information we hear from the grapevine.
Yeah, well, if there are any questions for overtime, go ahead and leave them in the chat. I don't know that there will be for this first episode, as we're still trying to iron out the technical kinks. Hopefully, it will be better as we move forward. Hopefully, the quality will get better, and we'll have less dropped frames or missing cameras. That was that's my bad on that one. But in the meantime, is there anything else that you want to add? Roster rumors, World Championships, RLCS wrap up, anything like that?
I think we're good here. Excited for the new season. I'm I'm excited for the new season, but at the same time, World Cup, FIFA E World Cup. I need my USA jersey. I promise you. You release me a jersey today, I'm buying it. You just gotta let me know when and where I can put my card.
Fair.
I'm getting it.
And
we do have a question.
Yeah,
looks like.
We did get a question.
Favorite food from Dallas? That is tough because we got some pretty good food in the media. They were. I don't know who the chef was, but they were cooking.
I was gonna say, outside of being at the event, I didn't actually get anything other than like chain food, just because like we'd get back from the event, we'd have like podcast stuff to do or pictures to sort through, and we just like would order food and like eat and then fall asleep at like 9:30 every night because you're back there at like 9 a.m. the next morning. So, but yeah, the buffalo chicken sliders, I thought those were really good.
I would have to go with the Hawaiian sliders.
Okay.
Those were the ham and cheese. Were
Yeah.
very good. I enjoyed.
I know a lot of people liked the pulled pork quesadillas,
Those were good too. Forgot about.
and I have to give an honorable mention to the fruit snacks. So, they put out like a basket of like snacks and candy and chips and like drinks and everything for the media for people to like kind of graze throughout the day. And on Thursday when I got there, we killed the fruit snacks, and they put a couple of them. They put a couple back on Friday, and we finished those too. And we killed them on Thursday. They were not there Friday or Saturday, but they restocked a couple of them on Sunday. So we must have eaten too many of them too quickly between the group of people that we had. So honorable mention to the fruit snacks.
So what I'm hearing is next time, go store and buy a box of.
Yeah. The only issue is I don't know if they let us bring food in. Actually, that's a lie. We ordered Jimmy John's one of the days.
I was like, I'm sure they would be okay with us not costing them their entire fruit snack storage.
Yeah. Fair. But since that's the only question, I think it's about time that we wrap up for today. So we'd like to thank you so much for listening. We'd like to remind you to please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, join our Discord, and rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. Tell a friend, spread the word. That's how we grow the show. That's how we continue to be able to go to these events, to get our media passes, to be able to share our experiences with you guys, and prove that we sometimes do know ball. But also, along with that, please remember to follow us on Twitch. Here, this is where we're going to be doing our recording sessions from now on. We'll be posting kind of a more finite, firm schedule in the next couple of days. Also follow our TikTok, check out our merch store. All of this stuff can be found on our website at boostoverball.com. I'll put it in the chat. And from us here on the show, as always, remember to choose Boost over Ball.
Thanks for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Make sure to check out our website at boostoverball.com.